In a world where people are losing their minds, who will be the voice of sanity, of logic, of rationale, of morality and truth? This podcast is looking for like-minded people to stand up to the insane and be real. The Recovery Atheist podcast is calling you to step forward and be counted. Welcome to the voice of change. Welcome to the Recovery Atheist podcast.
Well, hello, everybody out there in Podcast Nation. This is the Recovery Atheist coming to you from the Trey Entertainment Studios. And I am so glad that you're able to join me today. How's everybody out there doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope the holidays treated you nicely. I hope you got to see some of your family. Hope you did it safely. And that no one in your family will have to deal with anything with COVID, which is the biggest thing that's going on right now, obviously, for subjects, especially dealing with the holidays coming up. Like I've said before, I've got my family, my parents coming up next month. I'm hoping to be able to see them, but we'll see how things go here in the future for this COVID thing, to see if anything gets locked down or travel gets locked down. We'll find out, I guess. But so today, this beautiful Sunday, just got done watching my Packers beat the Chicago Bears, the biggest rivalry that I know of in my sport anyway. It was a good game. We dominated. We looked really good. I was very happy about it. So we move on. We're on to 8-3. It's a good day to be alive. Sober. Coming up this next Saturday, so in 6 days, I'll have 9 months sober. I am excited about that. Things are going well. Should be moving into the new place that I'm going to be house managing after next weekend. Things are going smoothly. Work's going good. Surgery, took the bandage off. Everything is healing up nicely. They did a wonderful job with the surgery. The scar is barely noticeable. So I'm very happy with where my life is today. So today what I'm wanting to talk about, what I want to get into, is dealing with being respectful toward others. Of course, I'm in a situation here where I live where we've got, 10, 11 guys living in the house, all tightly knit together, and you've got to learn how to be able to live together and be respectful of others. I also feel it's just the way our society is today. It's something that's lacking. I think there is a lot of me, but not enough of thinking about what your behavior is going to do to somebody else. And that's really frustrating to me, that people do not consider other people's feelings, or that they're having to be around that individual. They think they can just be any way that they want to be, and they don't care. And to me, that is wrong. I find it to be insulting and hurtful to other people when you act that way. Now, of course, with where I live, it's been going on a little bit more over these last couple weeks, where people just don't give a rat's ass about anybody else that they're around. It's all about them. They don't have to clean up after themselves. They can just do whatever they want. That's not how it works. And in my opinion, if you're living in a sober living home to make change and learn how to live, then you change those things. If you're continuing to do that, even though you're being called out on it, to be accountable for it, and you continue to do it, you're still living in addiction. And as far as I'm concerned, you're not living in recovery. And I don't care whether you agree with me or not. I have earned the right to sit here and be able to judge that and say that. Why do people, and this goes for the broad realm of the world, why do people think that they have the right to push themselves and how they live and their behaviors on other people and think that that's okay? It really grinds my gears when people decide that that's the way they're going to be, and then they have the attitude of deal with it. That's very, very upsetting to me. I am constantly, when I'm out and about doing my thing, thinking about what my behaviors are doing, and is it having an effect on someone that's around me. So that's one of the things I want to talk about tonight is how can we be more respectful? I mean, we're supposed to get outside of ourselves now. That's the point of being in recovery, is we're supposed to step out of ourselves and realize it's not all about us and the selfishness about us. It's about looking at other people, being a help to other people, and realize that we're not all that in a bag of chips. And I'll be the first one to say that I am not. I have my own issues. I'm sure I'm annoying at times with certain things. But there's certain things that are just a given that you just don't do. And right now, all I see is people abusing that and taking advantage of it, and I don't think it's right. And then if you try to call them out on it and tell them that, you're being judgmental, or you're telling them what to do, or you're just trying to control. No, that's not what this is about. This recovery is about being, especially in a sober living home, it's about holding other people accountable. I've been held accountable for my behavior since I've been here, but yet there's people here that think that they don't have to be. Again, that is not right. I'm going to hold you accountable just as much as I expect you to do the same to me. It's not right that you think that you can just act any old way you want. You can't. You're in a house with more guys that you need to have respect for. You're not unique. You're not special that you get to just act any old way that you want. So I'm quite frustrated. I'll say one of the things I'm frustrated with. In a refrigerator, you know how you got a refrigerator, and you know that top shelf, that's usually where the milk is at and the tea and everything like that, because it's a taller shelf, so you can get that stuff in there to fit in there. You can't fit it in between the smaller stacks, the smaller drawers. So that's where you put all the beverages. Well, there's guys in the house that love to just shove anything and everything in there. Condiments, everything like that. Just shove it up in there. And don't allow anyone to be able to put their beverages where they're supposed to go. And then when you try to tell them that, they continually do it. So I ended up writing on the beverage thing that this is for beverages only. And so I come down today, and they have it crammed full of it, purposely doing it just to piss me off. I know they did. The way they had it sitting in there the way they did. Just be respectful and realize what that spot is for. Now, I know some people will sit there and go, Dell, you're kind of getting upset about a very small thing. But it's not. The small things is what ends up getting you tripped up and going out and relapsing. And if you have a problem with not being able to understand that that's where beverages go, and when someone says, hey, I would like to be able to, and you think that you have the right to just say no and do that, no. I'm tired of not being able to say what's on my mind. I am tired of not being able to call people out and then automatically having people turn around and look at me and say that you're wrong. No, I'm not. You're being an asshole. That's what you are. A prick. So I'm going to call you on it. And I don't really give a shit what you think about how you feel about me calling you on it. I am done being stepped on. I am done being pushed around. I am done being a doormat for people. I will not put up with that. So if you're going to continue to do things like that, then I'm going to continue to push it. And so I guess we'll find out as time goes on here how it goes. I will say this. I am ready, I think, to move on to the new house. I think some people have gotten lazy in this house and are not doing what they're supposed to do. I bust my ass every day. Now, I'm sure they'll say, well, this weekend you didn't. You stayed in your room all weekend. Well, guess what? I'm finally able to get sleep. I'm not in pain anymore from the surgery. I don't feel that uncomfortable feeling that I've been having when I've been sleeping. And so, yeah, this weekend I took the weekend to get caught up on sleep and get myself back to balance because I'm not feeling it anymore. I don't have any pain, so I'm feeling good. So, yeah, I got caught up on sleep this week. So now I can go back into work this week and back into my normal week and feel like I'm back to where I was before the surgery. I have the right to do that. I work hard. And I'm not saying that nobody else in the house doesn't work hard. No, I'm not saying that. But Jesus Christ, give me a little bit of credit for the work that I've put in. There's guys in here that got a month or two sober that think they want to cop off at the mouth and say things to me. And it's like, you know what? Come talk to me when you got almost 9 months. Come talk to me when you've lived in this house almost 8 months. Know your role. Know where you fit in. I don't have to apologize. I don't have to coddle you. Get to work. That's what I had to do. So fucking get to work. Stop being a spoiled little brat and get to work. Ugh. Fed up with it. Fed up with people and how they act. I'm fed up with people thinking that they have the right to just shit on people. And I mean, that goes into everything right now. You look at the world right now with the COVID, you got the people wanting to fight wearing the masks. I saw a video the other day on YouTube. It was crazy. I was watching, I think it was, who is it? It was either Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert, one of those guys. They showed a video of this woman in this bus, and a couple people were telling her she wasn't wearing a mask, and and she was like standing next to people. They're like, you need to wear a mask, get away from us. You need to wear a mask. If you're not going to wear a mask, get away. And she wouldn't do it. She says, no, I'm not going to do it. And she ends up spitting on this dude. Okay, well, he gets up and pushes her out of the bus where she falls down. Now, in that situation, people are like, oh, he was wrong in doing that. No. I actually sat there and looked at it and said she had it coming. She had it coming. You don't spit on somebody. What do you expect is going to be the result? There are so many people now that walk around thinking that they can just get away with stuff without any repercussions whatsoever, without any consequences whatsoever. And I'm done with it. If I see something that I think is wrong that you're doing, I'm going to call it. You don't like it? Too bad. Stop doing the behavior. Ugh. Being respectful is a mindset. It is being mindful of other people around you. Even if I don't agree with you, and there's many people I don't agree with. I mean, I have to deal, as an atheist, I have to deal with it all the time, where people will comment on my posts or will comment on my videos or podcasting, will comment, and say that you're going to burn in hell and all this stuff. You're an evil person, you don't have any morals, whatever it is. It's so disrespectful, even though I have said nothing to them specifically to be disrespectful to them. And I don't come back at them. I just let them go ahead and do it. If I do say anything back, it's usually something as to the point of, I'm so sorry that your life obviously, is as miserable as what it is, that you feel that you have to attack somebody to make yourself feel better. How many of us have been there? How many of us have gone through that where we've sat there and been like, you know what, you must be one of the most unhappy, depressed people ever in the world to have to sit there and pick on people just to make yourself feel better. And that's, in my opinion, that's what I see happening in the world today. Everybody, they see weakness and then they go for it. Well, guess what? You see a weakness in me and you go after me on it, I'm not putting up with it anymore. Now, if there's a legitimate reason why you're saying it because of some behavior that I'm doing, then I completely get it. I have it coming. But if it is something that you're just using it as a way to put me down to make yourself feel better, I'm going to call your bullshit. And I'm going to call you a fucking piece of shit. Straight up. We need to learn to be able to live together even with differences. If you have any question in your mind of what you're doing is going to offend, is going to affect somebody else in a negative light, where you don't need to do it, that you could do something different in that situation, then guess what? You probably should. I mean, there's going to be times you're going to have to do stuff that's going to hurt other people because there's no other choice to do it. But if there's any option to that, to where you can go in a different direction with it, to where you don't have to do that, why do you feel like you have to antagonize? Why do you feel like you have to be like Donald Trump? Why? Is that where we've gotten in the world today? You know, it's so funny. We have all these bully campaigns where, you know, stand up against bullying. We don't want bullying to happen. But all I see is bullying going on everywhere. You've got the Christian right bullying. You got Donald Trump bullying. You got the Supreme Court now bullying. It looks like they're going to try to overturn, you know, gay marriage at some point. You've got, I mean, it's like, what do you care? Why do you care about that, Supreme Court? Really? How is it really affecting you? No, it all comes down to just because you don't believe in it, you want to force people to have to live the way that you do. Who the fuck are you? You don't get to tell me how to live. But yet these people think that they have the right to do that. It's so funny, these people get so upset and want to control every single thing in your life, even though what you're doing has no effect on their life whatsoever. But they feel they got to put their fingers in the honeypots. They feel they got to get their fingers in there to control things. Well, fuck you. I don't need your help. I don't need you coming in and telling me how I should be living. I don't need you to come in and tell me what my beliefs and my morality should be. I don't need you to show me how I'm supposed to live according to your beliefs. So we got the holidays coming up. Really, I mean, this is going to be an interesting holiday. With everything going on with the COVID, with the traveling, with, you know, family events, things like that. I mean, how is this going to look this year? We've got, you know, a month to go here, a little under a month. And it's like, where are we going to be here in the next few weeks with all of this? Especially when they're saying we're going to get into double rate deaths and testing showing up more and more. What is it going to be like in 3 weeks? I mean, it's changing so quickly. You got the NFL football, California, the 49ers now are trying to look for somewhere to play because the city of San Francisco has done a lockdown, so no contact sports, and now they're looking at playing in Arizona for their home games. Things are starting to go back down on lockdown. It's happening. And I think here where I'm at in Minnesota, it is very on the progressive side, and usually Minnesota goes above and beyond to do what needs to be done to keep ourselves safe. So we're looked at, if you look on the maps, we're one of the hot spots, the hard hot spots. And a lot of people have asked me, and we've talked about it, it's like, why is that? Is it because of Sturgis? A lot of people think that Sturgis, it probably, I'm not saying it didn't impact it, it probably did. But people went out to Sturgis in South Dakota. A lot of them were from Wisconsin and Minnesota, and then they came back here and blah, 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 so on and so on. That I get. But the other thing that is a huge thing to look at is temperatures. When the first outbreak started hitting back at the beginning of the year, it was cold. It was wintertime and we were getting hit hard. Summertime, it slowed down because the warmer it is, it doesn't spread as quickly. Well, we're getting back in the wintertime now. It's getting cold up here, especially up here in Minnesota. It's, you know, we've got snow on the ground. It's getting colder at night. It's very cold. And if you look at the maps for COVID, you can see where it's a bubble up here in the Midwest states because it is getting colder. It's spreading more because of it being cold and not warm. So right now it's just interesting to see where we're going to be here. I've had the COVID test done twice. Both of them came back negative. Don't have any symptoms. I've never had any symptoms. Things are looking good on my end. I think we got through the scare at work. We had a little scare at work with like 3 people that ended up having to quarantine. We've been disinfecting every shift the hell out of everything that we have there. Anything that we touch, we're disinfecting it every hour if we have to. Anything that we touch, wearing masks when we have to. If there's anyone in the booth with me, masks, go on right away. We're taking all the precautions. But then again, you look at places like sober living homes, like the home I'm in right now. You've got people sharing the same bathrooms, same kitchens, same living areas. We got guys that are roommates with each other, living in the same room, sleeping in the same room, breathing the same air. And when they leave here and they go out in the world, like me as well, I wear a mask everywhere. You don't know exactly what precautions they're taking out there, and they can bring it back into the house. Now, I would hate to see it happen to where eventually we have to be locked down to where when we're outside of our rooms in common areas, we are always wearing masks. I don't want to see that happen, but there's a possibility it could if it gets out of control. So I'm just, curious where this is going to go. I really want to see my parents at the, Christmas time. I want to see them. I haven't seen them for a while. I want to see them. I want to be able to I ended up sending their Christmas gift to them in the mail because I don't want to have to buy it and have it sent here and then turn around and send it to them anyway because they're not coming. So I decided just to send the Christmas gift early to them so they have it. Yeah. I want to make sure that they get it. I don't want to be stuck up here with it and have to find a way to get it down there in Indiana. That's where they're living, is Indiana, down by Louisville. As far as I know right now, everything is good. They're coming up. I can't wait to see them. I've got Christmas. I took the day of Christmas off. I've got someone who's going to cover the shift for me. I'm paid on that day anyway, so we're good. Yeah. So hopefully they'll come up. I'll have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to be able to spend time with them and enjoy the holidays. And because, they're getting older. You never know. But at the same time, I am worried about them coming up here. They're coming up to a hot spot, and they're in their late 60s, mid to late 60s. This is, they're definitely within that percentage of being high risk. So I do concern myself with them traveling up here. But we'll see. We'll talk about it, and we'll see. I think they have until the 17th to make a choice. They've got an Airbnb apartment or basement that they're renting from a home on the outskirts of Duluth here. They've got to the 17th to be able to cancel it, so I guess we'll see where it happens over the next couple weeks. Yeah. But again, it comes down to being respectful to each other. I mean, I see people all the time. Like, I was at Walgreens picking up my meds, and I picked up some bandages in case I needed them. I found out that once I took the bandage off and looked at it, I'm pretty much healed up. I don't need the bandages. But I went through the line to pay for everything, and these two ladies come up, and they're just pushed right up on me. I mean, literally like a foot away. And it's like, we've got our masks on, but I literally turned to them and looked at them and says, do you mind doing the 6 feet, please? Oh, yeah, sorry. It's like, come on, people, think about it. This isn't new. COVID isn't new. 6 feet distance isn't new. And you're acting like this is the first time you've ever heard someone tell you this. Back off. Think about somebody other than yourself. For once. And you just don't see it. The other day, I'm at work, and a customer comes up, and I'm getting him out of the ramp, and she looks at me and says, oh, by the way, those people that are parked right over there on the other side in the Suburban there, they're throwing trash all over the floor right now, all over the ground in the ramp. And that was on Thanksgiving. And just that day, my maintenance guys had gone through the entire ramps and cleaned everything spotless. They had just left. Everything was spotless, looking beautiful. And these people are throwing trash out. So they go through, and I called them. I said, you throw trash all over the ramp? Oh yeah, sorry. So I'm like, no, that's not how that works. That's not very nice. That's very disrespectful. Please do not do that again. So here I'm like, I'm the one now that has to clean it up. I really appreciate having to clean up your garbage on Thanksgiving. Thank you. I gave them a little bit of a scolding. Yeah. So they left. I got out, went over there, and it wasn't just a little bit of garbage. It was like they dumped a garbage bag all over the fucking concrete. Took me almost 10 minutes to clean this shit up. This is what I'm talking about, people. It's disrespectful. You are being an asshole to people that you don't have the right to do that to. That's just wrong. But yet you think you have the right to do it. I can't wrap my brain around it. Why we've got to be that way anymore. Why can't we realize there's other people outside of ourselves? I'm constantly trying to make sure that I'm doing things not to interfere with somebody else's life. Constantly. I just don't know what to say anymore about it. I mean, it's just, in the words of Rodney King, can't we just all get along? Really? It's just unreal. It's just not right that we treat each other the way that we treat each other. It's so harmful. It's ridiculous. No reason for it. Let's just love each other. Let's stop looking at the differences, look at the similarities, and let's just love each other. So today I spoke with Patrick, my other buddy that has a podcast that I'm collaborating with. And so we started talking about a few things. He's doing well from the COVID, by the way. He's recovering quite nicely. And so he listened to my episode on Synanon, Recovery Cult, and I suggest you take a listen to it if you haven't heard it. It's really good, and it sets up what we're going to be doing here in the next few months. But we started talking about certain things with recovery, and one of them, there's different tiers of recovery, and one of them is the word moderation. Like, some people think that they can do moderation with their drinking, or they're a druggy alcoholic like I am, and they still feel like they can smoke pot when they're going through recovery. And so we were talking about it, and this is going to be my next episode is going to be on this slippery topic of moderation and the different modules of the different models of treatment and what recovery is. Marijuana, to me, when I look at it, yes. Do I have an addiction to marijuana? No, I do not. I can honestly say I do not. When I run out of it, I don't sit there jonesing for it, saying, when am I going to get another bag? It just kind of happens when it happens. It's been that way for years now. It's been at least a year and a half since the last time I smoked. So it's just not something that's on my mind. But that being said, I do not use it, not just because I live in a sober house and you're not allowed to do that. If I was on my own, I wouldn't do it. The reason why is because when I smoke, it does alter the way my brain works, makes me feel different, it changes the mood. And then also a lot of times when I do that, it also relaxes me to where there's been times throughout my relapses I've had where someone will offer me a beer in that situation or a drink, and I'll be like, okay. Brings down the inhibitions a little bit. And so eventually it gets to the point where it's like, oh, now it's like every single time I smoke, a good shot of whiskey with this would go well with a beer. So it becomes, again, a mindset. Even though I'm not addicted to it, it leads to the other stuff. Now, people talk about marijuana being a gateway drug. I do not agree with that. In fact, if you go back and look, I think a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, cigarettes was probably one of the first things we smoked. But when it comes down to it, when I think gateway, though, it does, for me, when I take it, it does open up me to the idea of, a beer would sure taste good right now. That's me. And that's what I'm saying. The whole idea of moderation, like moderation, what is that word? I don't understand that word because I don't moderate. I do everything to the extreme. Spending money, playing video games, sleeping, sex, whatever it is, I go to the extreme. So I have to learn, and I've had to, on how to moderate certain things of that. Otherwise, I get out of control. Well, when it comes to substances, when it comes to changing my brain chemistry with a drug, a chemical effect, there is no moderation. It's off the rails. And I finally have accepted that, and it has made my recovery so much more easier because I know that if I go back to it, what it's going to do. I mean, there's no way to get around it. Which makes me strong, which makes me headstrong in that idea. Now it's just learning how to balance the other things in my life that are not involved with chemicals. So, moderation is a hard thing to talk about. Like, if someone comes in and they're able to moderate, like when I was an LADC, a counselor, if someone came into my office and they sat down with me and they were talking about, moderating their drinks, and they're able to go home and actually do that. And first off, moderation, there is no moderate heroin meth users. Stop with that. I've never seen a recreational meth junkie heroin user. If you are, you're the 0.0000000000000.1%. And I know this because I was a meth head myself for 6 years. I've never seen someone who could just recreationally do it for a night and go home and not do more. Give me a break. That is not the majority. That's a very, very small minority. But if you can go home and have a drink or two and be able to moderate it and not have it cause consequences, That's not addiction. It's not covered under the DSM criteria. You might be an alcohol abuser or a binge user at times, but that's not being an alcoholic. An alcoholic cannot moderate anything. An alcoholic only does it to drink to get drunk and continues it and has the obsession of it to continue and completely destroys their lives. If you're able to go home every night and just have 2 drinks and put it down and go to bed and go to work every day, I'm sorry, you are not an alcoholic. You're not. Just because you have a drink and can moderate it doesn't mean you're necessarily an alcoholic, an addict. You're not. It says in the big book, why don't you go over to your nearest bar, your nearest saloon, wherever you want to go, and have a drink or 2 and try to stop and see where it takes you. If you stop, then this might not be a program for you. That's what it says. But if you cannot stop, this is a program for you. Okay? I mean, it's I get so tired of hearing, oh, yeah, you know, they were drinking 3 drinks a night and blah, 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 blah. Well, what were their consequences? Well, what do you mean? What were their consequences? What were they going through? Did they lose a marriage? Did they lose jobs? Weren't able to pay their rent? Health issues? Any? No, not, you know, there's really no consequences or anything like that. No DWI? No. Well, I'm sorry. There has to be consequences there. It's hard to sit there in that situation if you're in treatment and you're saying that to somebody, to a counselor. It is hard from the counselor's point of view to look at that individual and say, well, what did they have a reason to stay sober for? Why would you stay sober if you don't have any consequences? Seriously. You don't change anything unless you're uncomfortable. You don't change something and do something different that you've been doing wrong unless there's consequences with it. Otherwise, you're going to continue to do what you've always done. So moderation is a model of recovery that is completely different than the model of recovery that I'm in. And that's what I was trying to talk with Patrick about, is that you're talking apples and oranges here. I really don't think in primary treatments that a counselor should be even talking about moderation. Because if they're being admitted into treatment, I would hope that by the biopsychosocial that they take and by looking at the DSM criteria, that they meet the criteria of that, which shows consequence, which shows craving, obsession, all of that, to where they need to be in there because they cannot stop or moderate. That's what treatment should be. If you're a moderator, go to outpatient, not inpatient. Go to outpatient. Stop taking up beds for people that really need those beds. Now, I know some people are going to say, Del, boy, you're being kind of cold on that. No. No. Go to outpatient. You don't need inpatient. And if you're a counselor that's because they have private insurance or something of that nature where you're going to get a good payment for that bed, that's not right if you're putting them into that bed and they don't really have the criteria or meet the criteria to be an inpatient. But yet I remember as a counselor seeing that stuff happen all the time. Stop it. You're not helping these individuals, and you're taking away space for somebody else who actually needs the help. So that's going to be something I'm going to go into, I think, the next podcast I have. We're going to talk about different recovery models, different ways of looking at things, because there's a couple tiers. I mean, you have your inpatient. What is the requirements of inpatient, and why or who and what, when do you go to inpatient? You have outpatient treatment. There's lots of things. Why would you need to go to a halfway house? Well, halfway houses are not even really halfway. They're more correctional houses now. three-quarter houses, or sober living homes is what they're called, which is what I'm living in now. You're gradually working your way through over a longer period of time. They'd like to see you stay for a year to get sobriety under your belt and recovery under your belt, learn how to live, and then find your own place. Get a job and then find your own place. And then you're back into life. I think a lot of people don't have the understanding of really what is involved and what the steps are when it comes to treatment and the process that's involved with it, depending on what state you're in, your insurance, all of that. Well, you're looking at a man and listening to a man right now who does. My qualifications: I was a LADC, a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, for 8 years for the state of Minnesota. I have a AS degree through Minneapolis Community and Tech College. At that time was looked at as one of the best colleges in the state of Minnesota for training. I have many psychology classes. I also continued on to Metropolitan State in St. Paul to finish up some courses there. I'm about 16 credits away from having my bachelor's, which I'm going to try to finish off and work now that I'm sober again, so I can have that BS degree, that bullshit degree in science. And I've worked in every area. I've worked in inpatient, outpatient. I've worked as a CD assessor, Rule 25 assessor, which I'll get into that, what Rule 25 is. I've dealt with being involved with the insurance companies and getting the approvals of those people going into treatment. I have done everything from creating PowerPoints to running groups. I used to run 9 hours of groups every week in front of 30, 35 guys in downtown Minneapolis, South Side. So I've been around some of the greatest people that you're looked at as icons in the business: Victoria Holbert, Bela McDougall, Sherman Lightfoot. I could go on and on. Jennifer White, of people who have been big influences on me and on the communities when it comes to treatment, especially in the Twin Cities. So I have much experience that I can share. So I think what will happen is the next podcast, no, it's not I think, I will. The next podcast is going to be Treatment 101. That's what I'm going to call it, Treatment 101. And I'm going to break it down. So that way, anyone out there who has somebody who is dealing with addiction, maybe you're the one dealing with addiction, that I can break it down to you step by step, what it is and what you'll be going through, so you will not get caught off guard with what it is. I've been through 8 treatments as well myself as a client. So again, I have plenty of experience. I've been in and out of sober living homes for the last 6 years. Again, plenty of experience. Understanding what it's like to be in this struggle called recovery. So, yeah, been in and out of AA for 17 years, 18 years, fully in AA now, in maintenance steps, gotten through the steps, have a sponsee now. I did NA for about 3 years as well, so I know NA very well in the basic text of AA. I've done Smart Recovery. I've done Celebrate Recovery, which is a faith-based. Did that in Kentucky a few years back. And I've also done ACA, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics or Dysfunctional Families as well. So again, I have many different areas also when it comes to recovery support groups that I can be able to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this all down, write it down on my notepad, and break it down what it is from the beginning of how you're going to get started, go all the way through it, all the way to the end of where you're at, where I'm at right now, and in the position I'm at, your first year of recovery. Sound good? I think that will be very interesting for people to hear just my experiences. I don't know. I know it's going to take more than just one podcast for it, but until I get a little bit more set up when it comes to what me and Patrick are going to collaborate on, which is dealing with recovery cults and faith-based recovery groups, and just going into all the different groups that are out there. That are they good, or are they bad, and kind of having an opinion on it and kind of bringing the facts forward. I need something to go in between that, because I think by the first of the year, me and Patrick are going to be hitting it hard with that. Get through the holidays. So, because I've been slowing down because it's the holidays and there's just a lot of busyness going on. But I want to keep going as much as I can this month through December. And might as well do it because I know there's people out there. The holidays is one of the hardest times of the year for people in recovery. And also for people who are dealing with addictions and are living right in the middle of it right now that are still using. It's a very depressing time for some people. So I want to be able to bring that forward to see if you need any information about it, you can get the help that you need, or pass it on to somebody else who needs to get the help. You can also get a hold of me as well at the recoveryatheist@gmail.com to ask any questions about it. You can find me on Facebook, Del Bacon. I also have a recovery group called the Recovery Atheist, which is through Facebook. I also have the YouTube channel, The Recovery Atheist, with videos I put on there of these podcasts. Definitely reach out to me. I'm full of information, and I'm willing to help anywhere I can, any way I can, to be able to get the help to somebody, to be able to feel like I do with my life, that I've been given another chance to live. You can also take me wherever you go. You can find me on Spotify, many other platforms that are out there. On your Android, iPhone, you can use different smart thing, Amazon smart things, Echoes, the Echo Dot. I mean, there's so many different brands of smart speakers now that you can use. But pretty much take me on the go when you're on the go. Be safe out there with the whole COVID spiking right now. Wear your masks. Keep your 6 feet distance. And my last thing I'll say is be respectful to other people around you. So hopefully they'll be respectful to you back. And remember, you treat others like you like to be treated. I'm not right, I'm not wrong. It's just my perspective on it. Be safe out there. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Recovery Atheist podcast. It's now up to you. What will you do with what you've heard? How will you use it? I challenge you not to stay silent. Be heard. Be real. Be different.